Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Paranormal experiences don't really work to a timescale, and therefore we invite you to listen to a dark minisode. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another dark minisode for season 18. This season has flown over so quickly it seems impossible there are only 2 more dark minisodes after this one. But it's these shorter experiences which seem to resonate with people more, in terms of they stick in your mind when you're doing your day-to-day tasks, or as happened to me the other day, I was watching something and it triggered something in my brain but I couldn't pick it out. Finally, I realised it was an experience from one of our minisodes. So as with this episode, we begin to wrap up our minisodes for season 18, there seems no better time to remind you all that if you have any paranormal experiences of any length that you wish to send in to the show, I guarantee you we will find an audience for it on one of our shows. Simply write down your email it over to contact@thedarkparanormal.com, and we will make sure it finds a home. Today's minisode, although an experience by an individual, touches on some of the folklore and historical supernatural aspects of Guatemala. And again, with these shorter experiences, I read one particular sentence and I had to stop reading and go and search about that particular reference. And believe me, I went down maybe a 3-hour-long rabbit hole, which was fascinating. And very quickly before we hit the minisode, just a reminder, this time of a season is perfect to join our Patreon. They will have received this on Monday and ad-free, like they do every episode we release on the main feed, receiving them all ad-free and before everyone else. And of course, when season 18 ends, they will still receive a brand new episode of Dark Bites each and every Sunday and have that back catalogue to binge. So, if you'd like to do that, head over to patreon.com/thedarkparanormal. But right now, we're going to hear from one of our listeners named Amy, who writes, "Hi, I just wanted to reach out and share my experiences and my relatives. I really love this podcast and I'm happy to share. Sorry if my story's a bit scattered. So, my name is Amy, and I've always wanted to share some of my family's experiences with the paranormal. Most of my family are immigrants from Guatemala, and knowing that, it's no surprise to find the country is full of scary and unexplainable stories. Many people there believe in fortune tellers and witches, and those beliefs have shaped the experiences my family has had, and me, over the years. One story that has always stuck with me is about my great-grandfather. One night, he's walking home alone in the dark, and he comes across what appears to be a hog or a pig. He's not entirely sure what it was, but it was aggressive, and it wouldn't let him pass. Every time he tried to move forward, it would charge at him. Feeling trapped and unsure of what else to do, he fought the animal and ended up killing it. Well, the next day, something shocking happened. You see, in the exact spot where he'd killed the pig, a woman's body was found. My great-grandfather was completely confused. There was no sign of a pig anywhere. He just couldn't understand what happened. The people in the village started whispering about witches or skinwalkers, creatures that can take the form of animals. My grandmother told this story to my siblings, and they passed it on to me. And I was horrified. I remember wishing I had never asked about it because it gave me chills for weeks. But my great-grandfather wasn't the only one in the family to experience strange things. My mum has had her share of unexplainable moments too. Many of her relatives in Guatemala used to visit fortune tellers to hear about their futures or even speak to deceased loved ones. It was very common back then, and still is really. One time, my grandmother took my mum to a fortune teller, but she wouldn't let my mum go inside with her. The fortune teller told my grandmother that my mum had a white light around her, a good light, a protective aura. My mum, who is now a very devout Christian, believes that this light might have been a sign of divine protection or a calling in her life. She never shared these kinds of stories with me when I was younger, because she was afraid I'd be afraid, and she'd be right. I always thought she was just being overly dramatic or making things up. Until one day. A day I experienced something with her that I couldn't explain. I remember it so clearly. I was in 6th grade, and my mum had just picked me up from school. We stopped at home to grab her purse, and she asked if I'd like to go with her to the grocery store. This was pretty normal for us, since she would often do last-minute shopping to make dinner for the night. I said yes, of course, and we both got in the car. She sat in the driver's seat and I sat in the back. For some reason, I didn't put on my seatbelt that day. Something I always do now, but at the time I wasn't nagged about it. We start driving, everything seems normal, but halfway to the store, my mum suddenly asked, "Did you say something?" I shook my head and said no. She started muttering under her breath and then said, "Can you start praying?" I was confused and asked why, but she didn't answer. She just kept muttering, gripping the wheel tightly. Let's take a quick break in proceedings to talk to you about somebody I've mentioned to you many times before, and that's acorns. A new year, of course, brings new resolutions. Now, if my body could take itself to the gym, I would be sorted, but it can't do that. However, in regards to your financial situation, Acorns allows you to do that. Not take you to the gym, of course. But if in 2025, giving your money the best chance to grow is one of your resolutions, then choosing Acorns as an investment app is one of the smartest moves you'll make, in my opinion. Acorns will do the taking you to the gym, so to speak. You can set up an automatic withdrawal from your account to your Acorns account. You don't need to be an expert. Acorns will recommend a diversified portfolio that fits you and your money goals. And you don't need to be rich. Acorns allows you to invest with the spare money you have right now. You can start with $5 or even just your spare change. We are so proud to be once again sponsored by Acorns for this episode, because Acorns make it so easy to start automatically saving and investing so your money has a chance to grow for you, your kids, and your retirement. I love working with Acorns because they take things like investments, which we all believe are for other people, and they simplify them and give you all the support you need. Head to acorns.com/darkparanormal or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. Paid non-client endorsement. Compensation provides incentive to positively promote Acorns. Tier 1 compensation provided. Investing involves risk. Acorns Advisors, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. View important disclosures at acorns.com/darkparanormal. Let's have a quick break to ask you a personal question. Are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? If you're a woman, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living rent-free in our environment right now. Our food, our water, the air we breathe, the clothes we wear, our skincare. You would not believe the amount of things that can mess with our hormones. Even nature likes to put us through hormonal changes, premenopause, menopause, and while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you're meant to suffer through it. And the good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore because we now have Hormone Harmony, a formula made with only herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Happy Mammoth, the company that created Hormone Harmony, is dedicated to making women's lives easier. And that means using only science-backed ingredients that have been proven to work for women. They make no compromise when it comes to quality, and it shows. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone-supporting supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women cannot stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony sells every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Feeling like myself again. That's what women mention over and over in their over 30,000 plus reviews for Hormone Harmony. For a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use the code DARKParanormal at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use the code DARKParanormal for 15% off today.
You can have it all. Great pay, awesome benefits, a flexible schedule, the chance to grow. At Cox, we're recruiting auto and diesel technicians to join our Mannheim and Fleet Services teams. If you're ready for a new job and want to experience an award-winning workplace, drive your career forward with us. Visit cox.career/autotech to learn more. That's cox.career/autotech.
When we got to a red light, she stopped. But when it turned green, she didn't move. I looked at her, confused, and she just muttered, "Something doesn't feel right." Then, in an instant, the car next to us drove forward, and a speeding car ran that red light, T-boning it. The impact sent the car spinning off and into a ditch. I sat there in shock and looked at my mum. "How did you just do that?" I asked. She looked back at me with a mix of confusion and disbelief and said, "Someone was yelling at me to stop." I didn't hear a thing, but she swears she did. I realized that if she had stepped on the gas, it would have been us that got hit. And the second thing that hit me was I wasn't wearing that seatbelt. If it was a crash, I would have taken the full force of the impact. It was such a surreal moment. My mum and I still talk about it to this day, whenever anyone mentions a paranormal experience. She always tells me that she heard someone whispering or yelling to stop, even though I, in the same car, couldn't hear a thing. That wasn't the only strange thing that my mother's experienced. She's had dreams of people saying goodbye to her before they passed away. One time when she was still in Guatemala, she dreamt of her cousin's baby. In the dream, the baby waved at her and said goodbye. That next morning, she found out her cousin's baby had passed away during the night. She was terrified when she heard the news. My mum has always told me how she hates these visions, these dreams. She says they make her feel strange, and she chooses not to accept them. but despite her reluctance, the paranormal has followed her throughout her life. Another experience happened in Guatemala, when my mum was living with her aunt. Her aunt often visited witches to talk with deceased relatives or ask if they had any important messages. One stormy night, which seemed to set the mood for what was about to happen, her aunt came home after one of these visits. My mum believes she had been practicing witchcraft. Her aunt suddenly called out to my mum to come to the kitchen. When my mum ran in, she found her aunt with bloodied hands and glass shards embedded in her skin. Horrified, she yelled for her other aunt to take her to the hospital. As she was doing this, her aunt spoke in a deep, unnatural voice that wasn't hers. The voice said to my mum, "Give me your baby. Your mother wants to say hello to them." My mum was frozen in terror. She refused to hand her baby, my brother, to her aunt, even as the rest of the family begged her to. To them, this was her chance to let my grandmother, who'd passed long, long ago, say hello. But my mum could not bring herself to trust what she was hearing. She ran right out of that room, clutching my brother tightly, horrified by the deep, unrecognizable voice that had just come out of her aunt. My brothers and I have had our own encounters with these paranormal happenings, all involving my mum. We all genuinely believe that something is protecting her, or that she's just very sensitive to the supernatural. None of my siblings have experienced anything close to what my mum has. And honestly, we're all kind of happy we don't. It seems too intense at times. We also try to be very careful with anything paranormal, as our relatives have never had good encounters. My family's stories have made us all cautious, and we avoid anything that might invite these experiences into our own lives. I really love this podcast, and I was very excited to share these stories with everyone listening. Thank you, Amy. Well, Amy, thank you for letting us all know about the experiences that your clearly exceptionally gifted mother has had. Although one of our shorter minisodes that we've put out this season, I wanted to put this one near the end because of the minisodes we've shared. The line in this particular one, where you describe your mother carrying her brother in to see her own aunt covered in blood, embedded with shards of glass, and speaking in a tone which is guttural and not hers, asking to hold the baby, and the horrificness of the family encouraging her to pass the baby over to this poor woman covered in blood, picking glass from her arms and speaking in a voice that's not her own. It really blew my mind when I read it, and I thought to myself, irrelevant of the length, the full audience need to hear this on a minisode, and I'm going to save it towards the end because it's absolutely terrifying. So Amy, thank you so much for sending in this experience. It's one that really stuck with me ever since reading it. I still can't get that image out of my mind. And believe me, I'd like to. So as we wrap up our third from last minisode for season 18, just a quick reminder that if you hit subscribe, you're guaranteed not to miss those final 2 minisodes, along with our Dark Realms and of course our season finale. But until next time, stay safe, and most importantly, take care.
You can have it all. Great pay, awesome benefits, a flexible schedule, the chance to grow. At Cox, we're recruiting auto and diesel technicians to join our Mannheim and Fleet Services teams. If you're ready for a new job and want to experience an award-winning workplace, drive your career forward with us. Visit cox.career/autotech to learn more. That's cox.career/autotech.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.